Okay, everybody, as I promised in my last video, I said I was going to do a quote-unquote State of the Shack update video for 2020. So, as most people know, I lost my work area that I have had for many years to work on computers. It was located in York, Pennsylvania. It was located on the property of my full-time job, and by the love of family, it did not cost me anything. I didn't have to pay for electric or rent or anything. It was just an excess building where our garage was. It was more or less included in the lease of our garage, and we just never really used it for much of anything. So it had its downfalls. It had no heat, had no air conditioning, so it was kind of miserable in both hot and cold weather to deal with, but it worked. So thanks to friends who helped me out from the Mac community. I had Steve Matarazzo, also known as Mac84 TV or Mac84, came down and helped me move a lot of stuff to storage. Luckily, I was able to secure a very reasonably priced 10 by 20 shed right behind where our garage was located at the time. So it was a literal 30-second drive to get from the shack to where our garage was, to where our storage was. So he came down on one day, and we got the biggest stuff moved from my shack. Another one of my local friends, who's not part of the computer community or anything of that nature, was nice enough to help me move the rest of my stuff, because I was running out of time to move both that and move my full-time job, my garage. So he was nice enough to move the rest of my belongings to where they needed to be. So at the moment, everything is in storage, with the exception of things that I use on a regular basis, which is truthfully just my 5.1 Mac Pro and my MacBook Pro. So the only other Mac I have at the house is my iMac G5 prototype, which I specifically keep here at the house because of climate control. So at the moment, I have finally gotten over the entire whole depression thing of watching pretty much my entire life for the last 20 years be plowed into the ground by a bulldozer. And I mean that in the most literal fashion. I got the privilege of watching my shack, my garage, my good friend's house all torn down, just to make a ridiculous convenience store that is absolutely not freaking necessary. But, you know, I digress. This is what happens when you rent. You don't really have a lot of control over what happens. So at the moment, we sort of have a garage to deal with. It's not ideal. We're sharing it at the moment, but it is what it is. I still have a job, which was actually one of my biggest fears. I am still employed. My part-time job, being a computer technician, is kind of on hold at the moment. I've done a couple of service calls, little things, but nothing substantial, because I have no place to do any work. I can't find half my stuff, so it's kind of hard to do anything when everything's kind of locked up, and the fact that everything is 35-40 miles away from my house doesn't help either. So unfortunately, with the state of things at the moment, because right now we're in the middle of the COVID-19 / coronavirus quote-unquote pandemic, I've decided I'm not doing anything at the moment. 2 weeks ago, I was talking with friends, members of MacYak, about reopening a storefront and renting a location to do work out of. I found a few places I could do with, but it's all down to finances. So, as everyone who knows me knows, my YouTube channel is solely financed by me. There is no Patreon support. I don't even get donations or anything like that to produce content. I have no sponsors, etc. I mean, I don't have enough subscribers to monetize on YouTube, so I have zero income coming in from this channel. And I'm okay with that. I don't think that I produce quality enough or often enough content to justify charging people, and I'm kind of the school that this is the kind of stuff that people shouldn't have to pay for, and I would not want people to pay for it. If anybody wanted to donate something for me to work on or tinker with or show on YouTube, I mean, I'd be happy to accept it, and do as they wish with it. But beyond that, I'm not monetized for this. So everything that I have and everything I've done has come out of my own pocket. And that includes my recording equipment, be it as it may. It's not the greatest stuff in the world. My camera is used. It's an old Sony Alpha 5100. It's a wonderful camera, but the microphones aren't that great, as you all know. There's no way to hook an external microphone up to it, and I'd really like to get a better camera, but I don't have $1,000 to spend on a good camera, and I haven't found a good used solution. So my money is better spent doing other things like paying bills and the like. So at the moment, the channel's not gone, it's not dead, but it is sort of on hiatus. With the things that are going on in the world at the moment, and this is, the end of March 2020, so, things are kind of in the air. I live in Pennsylvania, and the governor, being who he is, shut everything down. However, my full-time job, I am still considered an essential worker. But on the other hand, we have no business. 60% of our business is with car dealerships, and all the car dealerships in Pennsylvania are closed. All the car auctions are closed. They can't do any work. They don't do any work. We don't do any work. They've suspended state inspections and vehicle renewals and everything else for the next 3 or 4 months. So we have no business. And with people being out of work and such uncertainty right now, I can understand that they don't want to spend money on things that they may not consider to be totally necessary at this point. And I can't blame them. I'm kind of in the same boat. I have a job, but I'm not working. I, on the other hand, am self-employed, totally self-employed. So I don't get unemployment. I can't claim a layoff. So I'm really kind of between a rock and a hard place. Thankfully, my wife is working. She works in healthcare. She will always be necessary. She is not self-employed. She works for a company. So if anything happened to her, she could get unemployment and whatnot. So that's the state of things at the moment. So I think what I might do, since I don't have a filming location or anything like that to deal with at the moment. Is going to try to do some things here at home. I do have a couple of little projects that I want to do. One of them does involve my iMac prototype. Um, the only thing I really want to do with the iMac prototype is add an SSD to it to replace the spinning hard drive that's in it. But that's sort of a project on its own. And it's a toss-up. Do I take the hard drive out, or an upgrade to an SSD, or what do I do? Do you leave it original? Do you upgrade it? What do you do? First of all, the original hard drive is not in the computer. Jay Vry has that. I sent it to him to see if he could recover any sort of data off of it. Unfortunately, he was not able to. The previous owners throughout the years have seriously formatted the drive, and he recovered a bunch of junk that was like Disney games and stuff like that apparently some kid must have played on it at one time. So that was a futile effort, but I mean, it was worth a shot. And so I think I have a 320 gigabyte spinner in it. I would like to replace with a 250 gig SSD. And I'd like to set the computer up somewhere, but unfortunately I am very limited here at my home to do so. Me and my wife have talked about doing some things in our living room and rearranging things. And if we do that, then I could probably set it up and have it set up on a permanent basis. I really love using that machine. It's probably my favorite Mac that I've had over the last 10 years. I also have my MacBook Pro, which is a 2009 17-inch. It's not an antique or vintage, I guess, but it is an obsolete model. And I'd like to do a couple of things to that. Maybe that really doesn't have a lot to do to be done with it, because it's already running an SSD. The RAM's already maxed out. The battery's good. I mean, there's not really much to do with it. But the other hand, I have my Mac Pro. Now, my Mac Pro is a 4.1 updated to 5.1. I bought it off of Jay Vry probably 6 to 8 months ago at this point. And I just got done doing the processor upgrade to it, which is singularly the number one upgrade I've ever done to one of these machines. That was like the best investment I've done so far. But I do have some other things I'd like to do to it. It's not a fancy, it's a single processor model. It's not very fancy. I only have one hard drive caddy for it at the moment, so I only have one hard drive in it. Plus there's an SSD just kind of zip tied in there into one of the SATA ports. But there's all kinds of stuff I can do with this machine. I'd love to get a dual processor tray for it, but that's way in the future at this juncture. However, a RAM upgrade is possible in the near future. If my buddies pull through and they find me some memory at a reasonable price. And once again, we're dealing with finances. I'd like to get some hard drive caddies and maybe do some RAID experiments with it. Things like that. So that's my daily driver, so I have to watch what I do, because without that machine, I'm pretty lost. I still have my MacBook Pro, so it's not like I'm totally without a computer. And my MacBook Pro is an awesome machine. It's very, very fast. It runs very well. So, there's various things I can do. I'd like to go back to Steve's house sometime in the future, and because he lives close by. He's only a few hours away from me, and maybe do a video together with him. I think that would be awesome. I'd love to do a video together with Steve, Mac84, which if you've never seen his channel, you need to look at it. He's freaking awesome. He's an awesome dude, and he's going through some personal stuff right now. I'm not going to discuss it, but you know, he's kind of on hiatus at the moment, which is understandable. So, so that's the state of things. I'm thinking about doing a live, maybe Q&A thing in the near future. My webcam is not the greatest either. It's only a 720 webcam, and it's pretty fuzzy. If anybody's ever watched Mac Yak, you'll understand. But you know, I'd like to do maybe a Q&A, because I have to do it from my computer. I can't do it from mobile, unfortunately. And you know, go from there. And you know, if anybody has any ideas, I mean, I'm open to any suggestion. As most guys know, it's like I reply to almost every comment on my videos. At least every comment that deserves a reply. If you don't get a reply from some half-assed comment, there's probably a good reason why. So that's the way things are sitting right now. I have no plans to buy anything because I have no place to work on anything. You know, I have a couple power books and older power books. You know, I'd like to do some work on, but once again, I have to worry about finances. So both of them need screens at this point, or they need the screens recapped. And once again, I just don't have the room to do something as simple as that. I don't have a kitchen table or anything like that in my house anymore to even think about doing that. So, but I would like to get into that in the future. That's one of the things that I'd like to invest in is a good soldering station. Start learning more about doing board level repairs with SMD components. I mean, I do know a good bit about electronics. I am an amateur radio operator. So it's not like I'm a total idiot when it comes to this stuff, but SMD stuff is stuff I'm not familiar with, and it's something I'd like to learn. Another thing I've really been getting into in the last couple years is telephone systems and IP networking and the like. I mean, IP networking I've used for a decade or more with computers, but I'm learning how to do it with telephones now, and I've really learned a lot about doing that, mainly because I upgraded my phone system at my job to a Avaya IP Office 406 a couple of years ago, and to replace our old AT&T Merlin that was made back in I think 1985 or 86, and I still have that system. It still works. It's great for what it was, you know, but feature-wise, it's very limited in the 21st century. So we upgraded, and you know, once again, this is all used stuff. You know, we found it on eBay cheap, and then I upgraded again. I found a newer system that was cheap, and I've really learned a lot about IP telephone networking, and I thought about sharing that kind of stuff with you guys. I don't really have a place to start doing any vehicle related videos on. I'm going to be opening up another channel eventually, so dealing with automotive stuff per my friend's request, Jay Vry's request. I think it would be interesting to do, but I need to get things situated at my job before we worry about that. So maybe June or July when things get squared away. And but otherwise, I mean, that's what's going on. I'm open to suggestions, and anybody has any ideas or say, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Tell me. I'll listen to anything, guys. So that's all I got to say. Comment below, and let me know what you guys think. Anybody who thinks it'd be awesome for me to do a live chat on YouTube, I'm game. So You know, I sit at home most nights not doing anything, so hey, why not? So that's all I gotta say. I'll try to have a new video out in the next month, and we'll try to get back to, getting some things out there to whet your appetite, give you some kind of content, and go from there. So thanks for watching. Sorry this is so long. I've always been a little long-winded, so have a wonderful day, and don't forget to comment.